Radio Free Santa Clarita presents The Talk of Santa Clarita, a podcast about issues involving Santa Clarita and the surrounding valley. Episode 136, Democratic candidate for the 25th Congressional District, Cenk Uygur. And now, let's see what the Talk of Santa Clarita is.
And remember, this is for posterity, so be honest.
Okay, thanks for doing this today.
No problem.
Let's clear something up that I think a lot of people want to know, and particularly for my wife who does the introductions on the show. How do we pronounce your name exactly?
Okay, great question, Stephen. So C-E-N-K is pronounced Cenk.
Cenk.
Yeah, the C is pronounced like a J, like short for Jenkins. Okay. So it's a tricky immigrant name. I get it. Don't sweat it if you get it wrong. I never, ever mind. Okay. And then the last name is Uygur. Okay. So I say like Uygur, which makes sense given my personality. So Cenk Uygur.
I got to tell you, I'm a little nervous about this podcast. We've done about 150 interviews, and I've interviewed everybody from Tom Steyer to the producer of the Santa Clarita Diet, Katie Hill several times, Steve Knight. I have been warned about interviewing you.
Okay, fascinating. Okay,
I have been told
how?
I have been told you are going to eat me alive.
Well, it depends on what you ask.
Yeah, well, okay. And the other thing is, I'll be honest. Some people have said, well, he's an asshole. So,
so I see my reputation precedes me.
Yeah, I get it all the time. So,
yeah, well, I think you might be surprised, and I think your listeners might be surprised. But okay,
all right. Well, let's talk about. First of all, I mean, obviously, by the name, you're not from around here. You're from, was it Turkey, right?
Originally,
Turkey
yes.
Immigrant. Okay.
Yeah.
And is it? How did you wanted to talk a little bit about your immigration
story?
Yeah.
So I was born in Turkey.
Yeah.
Later, we'll fake the long-form documents. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm kidding. Although, lately, the way that this campaign is going, they'll take that out of context.
Right.
Okay, so, no, I came over when I was 8 years old. We went to New Jersey, and that's where I grew up. And so, I love Jersey, to be honest.
Yeah. Are you a Springsteen fan?
Yes, I am. Right. And in fact, he was born and raised in the same town that my parents live in.
Oh, Fremont.
Yeah, Freehold.
Freehold, excuse me.
Yeah. He went to the same high school as my nephew, and so I'm psyched about that. Anyway, so when I got to America, I couldn't believe how amazing it was, because we lived in a city. We lived in Istanbul, like a gray, tall, big buildings, etc. city, and in a tiny little apartment. I remember when we moved into our house in the suburbs, I thought, okay, how many other families live here with us? Right. And my dad's like, no, it's just us. I'm like, but how about all this green area that they're calling grass? Right. Okay, whose is that? They're like, he's like, well, good news, bad news, that's ours, but you're also going to have to mow that lawn. Yeah, I mean, I remember going to the elementary school, and there was 2 soccer fields. And I thought, well, I guess we stumbled onto the richest neighborhood in America, right? Because in Turkey, the biggest university, Bosphorus University, it's the Harvard of Turkey, such as it is. No, it's a great university, to be honest. Had 1 soccer field in the middle of Istanbul, and we thought that was amazing. Right. So, as I look at Santa Clarita, it totally reminds me of East Brunswick, where I grew up, East Brunswick, New Jersey. Yeah. And I loved growing up in the suburbs, so I'm kind of looking forward to moving the kids here and having them be able to. So you are
going to actually move into the district.
Yeah.
Where are you living now? I mean, do you want to? General area? Or?
Yeah, West LA. So it's about 25 minutes from here.
25 minutes.
Yeah, with no traffic. Let's be real.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah. I want to ask you a little bit about being in Turkey in general. Yeah. I mean, Turkey today. I mean, what? I think obviously Erdogan. Am I saying his name right? Erdogan.
Yeah, good enough. Close
enough. I got Cenk right or Cenk right.
Yeah. There
you go. And I have trouble saying Garcia. So but what are your thoughts on what the current state of leadership is in Turkey right now?
Fairly disastrous. Yeah. So Erdogan is a right-winger. I'm on the left wing. Yeah. So I'm on the left wing here, I'm on the left wing in Turkey, I'm on the left wing in Israel. You name a country, I'm on the left wing.
Yeah, but I mean, he's more than just a right-winger, wouldn't you say? I mean, he's
also fundamentalist in religion, and I am fundamentally opposed to that.
Right.
And so I've opposed a lot of his actions, including going into northern Syria. And so I think that no matter where you're from, you have to treat it with the same kind of objectivity that you treat American politics. Yeah. And so you shouldn't be any worse or any better in that regard. So when America starts unnecessary wars like Iraq War, I speak out against it.
Sure.
That's because I love America, and I don't want us to go into unnecessary wars.
Now, it's interesting that you brought that up, because I was reading your Wikipedia page, which, by the way, nice PR page, because it really talks you up. But it said, I mean, you were...
That's great, by the way. It's totally done by our fans and viewers.
Oh, really? Okay.
We can't even touch it. If we do, Wikipedia says you're not allowed to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing I thought was interesting is you were originally a conservative for a long time.
That's right. Yep.
So you're kind of are you like, you know, the non-smoker who used to be a 2-pack-a-day smoker? You know, it's like, oh God, I can't stand the smell of smoke now. How dare somebody smoke? You know, and I can't believe they're smoking kind of attitude with conservatism. It was the Iraq War that changed things for you, correct?
So yes and no. So first of all, overall, absolutely right. Zeal of the converted. Okay, it's true. And so it's a little bit more confusing than that and nuanced than that, because I was a liberal Republican that grew up in New Jersey. So that was the Tom Kaine era and Christine Whitman even, where back then there was a thing called a liberal Republican.
Right.
But, you know, all those labels get mashed up, right? So I was socially far more liberal and progressive. Economically, we were conservative. And if you're wondering why we started out as Republicans, my dad had came out of nowhere. I mean, he was a dirt poor olive farmer in southeastern Turkey, and wound up getting a free education in Turkey, and I catapulted him from complete and utter poverty. I mean, I was just talking to him over the Thanksgiving break. His main concern when he was growing up was, would he have a donkey or would he not have a donkey to go to the fields? Okay.
Wow.
So, but he became a mechanical engineer because of the magic and miracle of free college education. That's why I offer college for all. He started his own business and was successful in Turkey. But back then in 1978, there was real left-wing, right-wing conflict and violence. And so the communists were against my dad because he was a capitalist business owner. So they threatened violence against him, and that was part of the reason we came to America.
I see.
So being chased out by communists, we were naturally Republicans back then.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So nowadays, of course, it's not a real thing in America, and there's no one anywhere near communism in America, et cetera. And so what wound up happening in our transition, it happened to be both me and my dad, is that we just started realizing, oh no, the Republican Party is full of crap on every single issue. And so it went one by one. So for example, we wanted to balance budgets. And you know who the last Republican president to leave office with a balanced budget is?
It goes back to like Eisenhower or something.
Bingo, nice job, Stephen. Dwight Eisenhower is the last Republican president to have done that. And then Clinton came in and balanced the budget, and every Republican who came in blew up the budget. Reagan, Bush. To be fair, George H.W. Bush was much better on it, but Bush the second, if you will, was terrible on it, and now Trump's done it again. And then you realize, oh my God, their real objective is tax cuts for the rich. It's to serve their donors. Once you realize that, the Republican Party is a mirage, then you'd be nuts to support them. Then they started the Iraq War, then they started torture, and it just became like a parade of horribles. And so the question isn't why I left the Republican Party. The question is, why does anybody stay in the Republican Party?
Yeah, I'll agree with you on a lot of things, and particularly the idea of they're supposed to be fiscal conservatives, you know, and my father, who is, I talk about a lot on the show, being a Trump Republican, has often said, you know, he criticized constantly about the deficit with Obama. But he has been numb about and just mute about the tax cuts that have created the deficit that Trump has created.
100%, because your dad, like a lot of Republicans, are full of crap. Okay, so I'm sure I'd love him in person, and we'd talk football and we'd get along. Okay.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Okay, well, we'll see. But overall, look, they're just not telling the truth. They never cared about the budget. It's just a cudgel that they use to hit Democrats. In fact, the Nixon team wrote a memo saying when we're in office, we should drive up deficits because the more we spend, the better the economy does, and the more we cut taxes. They were wrong about this, but the more we cut taxes, the better the economy does. So who cares about deficits? And then as soon as the Democrats in office, let's blame them for the deficit. So that Nixon memo is exactly what they've done for the last 40 years.
So you're telling me that's literally been a strategy?
Literally a strategy, yeah. I mean, look, part of the problem, Stephen, is the mainstream media. They do political correctness on behalf of the Republican Party. So they don't want to offend their Republican viewers or their Republican readers, so they'll call everything 50-50. But it ain't 50-50. So they'll say, wow, look, I'm neutral. But being neutral doesn't make any sense if you're a reporter. Imagine if sports reporters were neutral. And they say, the Lakers played the Nuggets, the Lakers say they won, and the Nuggets say they won. I guess we'll never know. No, there's an actual score.
But let me ask you this. Okay, that term, mainstream media, and you're talking about it being lopsided or trying to be too fair or whatever.
Not too fair, wildly unfair to the truth.
Oh, wow, okay, wildly unfair to the truth. It's interesting that you bring that up because I find, first of all, is there any mainstream media you trust at all?
Yes. So, unlike the right wing, I don't want to tear down the media.
Okay.
So I want to help make it better.
Okay.
I want to do a constructive critique. So what does the right wing want to do? They want to tear down everything that brings you information. Media, science, professors.
Right.
They're opposed to all things that bring you facts because they want to replace it with their propaganda. I, on the other hand, want the media to do better. So I think that being objective is different than being neutral. Objective is the Lakers and the Nuggets played and the Lakers won, and here was what the score was. And the Nuggets don't like it. That's a sad day for them. Then they should have won the game.
Okay. Well, but we have three basic cable news networks, one of which you were on. Are any of them, somewhat fair, or would you? I mean,
okay. So let me get to more directly answering your question.
Okay.
First of all, print is way better than TV.
Sure.
So. And even among print, there are different layers. So McClatchy Newspapers is fantastic. Associated Press from time to time falls into the same problem as the rest of the mainstream media, but overall 90% is pretty great. Reuters is pretty great. And New York Times and Washington Post have an establishment perspective that is very hard to shake. So they privilege their own perspective. They say the status quo is basically as things should be. So if you're trying to change the status quo, either from the right or from the left, they say, no, that's bad, that's radical, far left, far right. And so they privilege their own perspective as if it's the only perspective. But overall, are they still better than TV? Yes, way better than TV.
Yeah.
When you get to cable news, there's a lot of room for criticism. So Fox News is super right-wing, everybody knows that.
Propaganda network,
yeah, totally. So that's obvious. People think MSNBC is on the left. That's hilarious. No.
Why is it?
No. First of all, they have 3 hours in the morning by, I don't know if he's a former Republican or a current Republican, Joe Scarborough, but
he's an independent now, but he was a former Republican.
Yeah, he was a Republican congressman. It's not like he changed over the last 20 years like I did or like Elizabeth Warren did. He does not have the zeal to convert. He's still a Republican. He just doesn't like Trump. And every talking point is a right-wing talking point. Every single one. So that's a 3-hour block on MSNBC.
But that show, which I like actually, is co-hosted by his wife, Mika Brzezinski, who is a known liberal.
Who is an establishment neoliberal, okay?
Establishment, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so look, it's a good question, so let me explain, right? So, but in that explanation, let me fill out MSNBC a little bit.
Okay.
So they've got all of these Republicans, Nicole Wallace, for a while they even had Hugh Hewitt, they brought in Fox News hosts like Greta Van Susteren, and et cetera. And they all have the same point of view. The establishment perspective is, for example, the military-industrial complex is great. Okay, and wars are not such a bad thing, and you shouldn't challenge the cost of wars. But if you're looking to help the American people with health care, you want to do Medicare for all? Oh my God, how much is that going to cost?
Right.
Wait a minute, you didn't ask that about the Iraq War. You're not asking about it when we're talking about a potential war with Iran. You're not asking about it in terms of Syria. So whenever it comes to war, you bring on experts like former generals who now work for defense contractors telling us how wonderful war is and how easy it's going to be. Right. And that's supposed to be on the left-wing channel. So then you turn around and what do? Every single one of them, they bring in Claire McCaskill, who lost as an establishment Democrat. The corporate establishment Democrat are proven losers. They lose to Republicans over and over again because they never make their own case. They don't stand up for their own voters and for their own people. So they come on and say, every one of them goes, no, Medicare for all can't work. I mean, giving everybody health care, that's crazy. Okay, no, you're crazy, and you're not remotely on the left. So there are some folks who are good progressives. Chris Hayes is actually probably the single most progressive person on MSNBC.
More than Rachel Maddow, really?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Rachel is more, look, I have a long relationship with Rachel, and we haven't talked in a long time, but we worked on Air America together. We worked on MSNBC together. She was very helpful to me when I came on MSNBC, gave me some guidance, etc.
Yeah.
But she largely does Democratic talking points. You will almost never see her disagree with the Democratic Party from the left.
Okay.
Right? And in fact, Stephen, as you know a little bit, I was on MSNBC, and the reason I left, and they offered me a ton of money, and I left anyway, because they told me, literal speech, Washington is not happy with your tone. So this was during the Obama administration.
Right.
And they said, look, he gave this goofy speech, the head of MSNBC. He said the outsiders wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles and they're cool, but this is NBC, we're insiders. And I thought, not me. Okay, I'm not an insider. I don't want to be an insider. You could tell that in this campaign. Yeah, I'm a proud outsider, although I don't own I have a very old leather jacket, but I don't ride motorcycles. They scare the hell out of me. I'm keeping it real. Okay?
Yeah.
And so challenging the Democratic Party from the left is totally unacceptable on MSNBC. No one knows that better than I do. But it's not just me. Dylan Ratigan, Ed Schultz.
I like Dylan, yeah.
Yeah, so many people have been removed from MSNBC for challenging the Democratic Party from the left.
Okay.
And so, sorry, just to finish the thought on CNN.
Yeah.
So CNN, Jake Tapper just admitted yesterday, he had Mehdi Hassan on, and he's like, you're a progressive, and normally we don't have progressives on, so what do you think about this? And I thought, Jake, listen to what you just said.
Yeah.
I think progressives are 60% of the country, and I could show you 24 polls that prove that, okay?
Okay.
But at a bare minimum, they're half the Democratic Party. At a bare minimum, they're 25% of the country. And CNN proudly declares they never have them on. MSNBC almost never has them on. Fox News never has them on. And then you ask me about mainstream media bias. There you have it. Now, to be fair to CNN, they actually do better than MSNBC. So Chris Cuomo has the most open-minded show on television.
I like Chris, yeah. I think he's a good reporter.
Yeah, he has far-right guys on, but he also has progressives on, and he has everybody in the spectrum.
Yeah.
So the more they go in Cuomo's direction, the fairer they'll be, and the more... And they'll be doing a better service for their audience. Because their audience is... The reason we're successful on the Young Turks, we have over 12 billion lifetime views. The reason for that is because we're the only ones who represent progressives. So whenever people find us, they go, oh my God, it's an oasis in the desert.
But, a lot of people would say that the Young Turks, your internet, your YouTube network and stuff like that, is just the opposite, or the progressives' equivalent of Fox News.
So I hear that criticism, and so... Let me address it in two ways. So first of all, if Fox News was honest and they just said, hey, look, we're a conservative network, we're home of conservatives, and we do news from a conservative perspective.
Right.
I would say there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
In a free country, you should definitely have an outlet like that. Yeah. Their problem is they lie nonstop, right? And they don't admit what they are. Us, on the other hand, the TYT network, and it's on 12 different platforms, all the way from YouTube, Facebook, Hulu, Roku, Xumo, Pluto, all the way to Comcast, okay?
Yeah.
And we have a 24-hour channel on a lot of those platforms as well. Us, we proudly declare we are home of progressives. Yeah. We don't hide our opinion, we don't hide our perspective, we're very upfront about it. And we never, ever alter the facts. You give the facts first, then you give context, then you give perspective.
But, and this is this extends out to, as you being a Bernie supporter, what I think about Bernie supporters in general, not meaning to offend any of my friends here. But a lot of what you're saying sounds to me kind of like, again, a progressive's just like, I could hear a Republican saying the same thing about the mainstream news and the fact that it's not the narrative that they want to hear. You're arguing that CNN has a certain kind of bias or is not reporting fairly. Is that true, you think, or is it just because they're not reporting what you think people need to hear?
So, Stephen, look, if it was just a matter of perspective and say, hey, look, they're not avowedly progressive, we are. Just from a business perspective, I would be happy about that, right? Okay. Because you're leaving the entire progressive audience to the TYT network, right? But it's not just that. They actually have their own version of alternative facts. We are far more clear and objective about the facts than the mainstream media is. So let me explain. Let me explain.
All right.
So based on polling. So for example, we were saying way before the mainstream media, guys, climate change is not a real argument. It is 99% of the world's scientists.
Right.
So the mainstream media has finally gotten to a point where they still have Trump people on, they still have Republicans on pretending climate change doesn't exist. But think about how ridiculous and preposterous that is. 99% of the world's scientists, got together and changed temperature readings?
Yeah.
You'd have to be a lunatic to believe that.
Right.
So, then the mainstream media will go, hey, Cenk, you can't say that because you're calling at least 30% of this country lunatics.
Right.
Yes, I am. And that is a fair and accurate description of what they are if they believe scientists from India and China and America and Brazil all got together and changed all the thermometers in the world and made up climate change. That is a lunatic conspiracy theory. The fact that 30% of this country believes it doesn't make it any more rational.
Right.
See, the mainstream media there warps the facts to please a certain portion of their audience. They go, well, maybe the lunatics are right. Maybe 99% of the world's scientists are all liars and are part of a global conspiracy. No, we are correct on the facts. You have manipulated the facts to appease the feelings of Republicans. So, and I can go on every issue. So, for example, in 2015, 2016, every poll showed Bernie Sanders beating Donald Trump by a larger margin than Hillary Clinton. And every time CNN and all the others would come on, and including the New York Times, and they say Hillary Clinton is more electable, or they would infer it in the way that they wrote the articles. But that was the exact opposite of the facts. The facts were Bernie Sanders was clearly more electable according to the polling. So that was their bias getting in the way of actually presenting the facts. We don't do that. For example, today, Bernie Sanders comes in second in most electable. Right now, whether we like it or not, Joe Biden still polls better than him on electability. Now, I think that that's wrong. I would like to change people's minds on that, but the fact is a fact. And so you have to report that as right now, right or wrong, Americans believe Joe Biden's more electable. We never play with the facts.
Well, I think it's interesting that you talk about progressives throughout the country.
Yeah.
But you are living in California. I mean, we live in a bubble of progressiveness. I'm from Kentucky, the Trump land, and I think in terms of, I know what I think, and I like what Bernie says. I'm a little bit more pragmatic about, I don't think he can get it done, but I do think in terms, well, that's not who I got to worry about. I mean, California is taken care of. They're going to vote, Democratic. But, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and those areas like that, where it is not traditionally that progressive. So,
Stephen, let's say two examples. One is Missouri, and the other is the 25th District.
Okay. Because I want to get into that. I was going to fall into that with that next.
Yeah. So. In Missouri, Claire McCaskill ran as a corporate establishment status quo Democrat. And so she tried to appease Republicans. And I've been saying on the show for nearly 2 decades now, no, we are the opposite party. We are not supposed to appease them. We're not supposed to try to curry favor with them. We're supposed to defeat them. So the Republicans never make that mistake. Have you ever seen a Republican saying, oh my God, I've got to be more liberal because I live in a purple area or a blue area? Never. They're always.
Some would argue Mitt Romney is.
Mitt Romney. I mean, if that's your idea of a progressive Republican.
No, not progressive, but moderate. I would say moderate.
I guarantee you he votes with Trump 95% of the time.
Perhaps.
Okay, that's no one's moderate. Okay, so they never go in that direction. The Democrats are constantly going in that direction. So did it work? So the reason Missouri is a great example is because at the same time that Claire McCaskill was on the ballot as an incumbent Democrat for the Senate seat, they had a minimum wage ballot issue. Claire McCaskill lost to the Republican, but the minimum wage bill, a ballot measure, passed with 62% of the vote.
Right.
In Arkansas, another red state, it got 68% of the vote. We're right on all the issues. The problem is that the Democratic Party never makes its own case. If I was Claire McCaskill, I would have run in Missouri on minimum wage. I said, these Republicans are keeping your wages down on purpose because they represent their corporate donors, which is absolutely true. Sure. And I'm for higher wages. Yeah. And she didn't say that. Why? Because she also takes bribes. She also takes corporate donor money.
Wait.
Those are bribes.
Wow.
Okay, no, Stephen, hold on. You tell me, and everyone in your audience is going to agree with me. Everyone. Okay. When ExxonMobil says, I'm going to give money to a politician, do you think they're doing it for charity? Do you think they're doing it for your health? Or do you think they're doing it to buy that politician?
It could be argued that maybe they already support what the politicians.
Oh, isn't that convenient? So like Mitch McConnell says, hey, listen, I took $1.2 million from the NRA.
But you are,
I conveniently vote with them every single time because after I got my $1.2 million in bribes.
Cenk, using Mitch McConnell as an example doesn't wash.
Oh, no, use ExxonMobil. You think ExxonMobil isn't bribing politicians? You think they're giving it for charity? You got to be nuts to think that. No, and Stephen, even if you thought hold on. Even if you thought that, the second time ExxonMobil gives a politician money, that means they got a return on investment. Corporations only have one objective, legally. It is to maximize profit. If they give money to a politician, that means they think that politician is helping me maximize profit. And part of the way they do that is to keep your wages low so that every dollar they don't pay you is a dollar in their pockets. And they say, Claire McCaskill and all the Republicans, go out there and do as you're told.
I'm not saying that you're not right. I mean, I'm just saying that it is possible. It is possible that a corporation or George Soros or a Koch brother or anybody could go, oh, he's come out for this position. I want to see him get elected, so I'm going to give him money. In other words, the politician could take the stance before, and I'll agree with you, there are, the opposite happens a lot of times, and Mitch McConnell would probably be the great example of that. And also, I'll point out that her name is escaping me right now, the woman that ran against McConnell last time, they asked, the Courier-Journal, the Louisville paper, asked her, did you vote for Obama? And she wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah,
wouldn't stand up
for Grimes.
Yeah, Linda Grimes. Yes, thank you. And it killed her. That lost her the election. Instead of saying,
you know why? Because those corporate Democrats, they've been told by all their consultants, don't be honest with people. Yeah. Okay? You'll lose in Kentucky if you're a Democrat. You'll lose in Kentucky if you're a progressive. You'll lose in Kentucky if you're honest with people. No, run strong. Run strong. We're right on all of the issues. All of the issues. I wouldn't lose to a Republican on a single issue. There's no way. I don't care. You can put me in the reddest district. If I got to actually reach the voters, we got to do a debate, I wouldn't lose on a single issue. So, no, actually, let's be fair. Let's be fair. I would lose on some social issues. Okay, I wouldn't lose on any economic issues. But on guns, I would probably lose. And if you're in a red enough area and they want to discriminate against LGBTQ people, I'd say hell no. You want to vote against me on that? Vote against me on it. But I'm going to protect their rights. They're 100% Americans, etc. Right. But on economic issues, the Democrats never make their case. So, which brings us to the 25th district.
Yeah. Okay. So well, actually, before we do that, I want to ask you a couple of semi-controversial things that you've done in the past or said. Now, there were a lot of, I Googled you. There was a lot of stuff about some of your stances that you've made on women and things like that. Now, but it was when you were a conservative, correct? I mean, as far as, to me, that people change. And so I'm gonna diss that. But what to me was interesting was this recent thing you said about bestiality.
Yeah.
Do you want to clarify that?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Look, so first let's give you a little bit of context, okay? So whenever you're doing a political campaign of any sort, people do opposition research. Yeah. So some of this stuff was unearthed 2 years ago when I co-founded the Just Democrats. Right. Just Democrats is a group that found AOC and helped her to run, helped her to win. Also Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Ro Khanna, etc. Right? So the right wing unearthed some of that. Now the corporate Democrats are also doing likewise. Okay.
But you did say it, right?
Yeah, I did. So, but I'm giving you context because on the show, we joked around a lot. Mm-hmm. So they'll find more videos of us joking around. Did we joke around about sex? Yes. Okay? So if you're a person who says you should never, ever joke, then you're not going to vote for me. You should never, ever talk about sex, you're not going to vote for me. You should never joke about sex, you're not going to vote for me. Okay? Yeah. So in that bestiality thing, you watch the clip, right? Mm-hmm. Anna, I say to my co-host, Anna, don't be a downer. Because we're obviously joking, right? So they take it out of context. They're like, oh my God, did you know that he's actually for legalizing bestiality? That's preposterous. Okay, of course not.
So you're saying you were making a joke. You do not support bestiality.
Of course! Come on. But Stephen, do you get that that's opposition research? Because my opponent is against Medicare for all.
Let's get it on the record.
She's terrible on the issues.
No. Let's get it on the record. Do you support bestiality? Say
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay.
Of course
so
not.
let me go on the record as saying that was a bad joke.
Okay. Sorry. Fine.
No. I mean, it didn't work.
For you, yes. Okay.
The second thing is. There was a clip of...
by the way, we do a talk show, okay?
Yeah, no, I understand.
So if you did a somber talk show,
yeah.
Okay, guys, now we are going to talk about the issues. Nobody listens, then you don't get 12 billion views.
I understand that too. You have to do some things to sometimes get some listeners or viewers and things like that it might be a little... But, and also I'll give you, I did radio for 7 years, and I understand that live and things can be said that you might go, oh God, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
There is, though, a clip that someone sent me the other night where you were laughing about or pointing out that Dog the Bounty Hunter was using the N-word and condemning him for it.
Yes.
But you were using the N-word in response and laughing about it. So can you explain that to us?
Yes. So we had a policy on TYT for a long time that if someone used the N-word, we were not going to take away its power by calling it the N-word because that sounds... like almost medical and antiseptic.
Yeah.
We wanted to show the problems with it. So sometimes you'll see me in clips using it where I'm disgusted by it, and I say, like I remember one time about somebody sending a death threat to Al Green, who's an African-American legislator. You take the power of the word away sometimes when you call it the N-word. Now it has become to a point where people in the African-American community have said, you know what, I get that point of view, but let's just not ever use it. Fine, no problem. So we changed our policy on that. But in the policy we did, including making fun of racists, because Dog the Bounty Hunter, in that, if I remember the clip right, was saying like, oh, I'm never going to get caught, and I'll talk about this N-word and that N-word. So we were making fun of him. Anyone who puts that out of context and makes it seem like I'm saying it, when in reality I'm attacking people who are saying it, is obviously being disingenuous.
Okay. I'll give you on that one. It is interesting, though, that, I mean, well, first of all, coming to the 25th, a lot of the Democrats out here did submit questions to me to ask you. And let me sum it up with one word. Why?
It's a great question.
Okay.
So, look, there are issues that affect this district that affect the whole country. And so I didn't want to run for any office. I've been asked a million times if I'm going to run for office.
It's the first time to run for anything, right?
The first time running for anything, right? So the reason I said no is because for almost all my life covering politics, congressmen have done nothing. They just sit around and they're very happy to be called congressmen or senators, and they feel really great about themselves. They take their campaign contributions, they bow their head and do as they are told by leadership. It was a totally uninteresting job.
Right.
But we started the Just Democrats, and all of a sudden, it turns out if you run uncorrupted, which means in my case and in all of their cases, no corporate PAC money, no lobbyist money.
Right.
It turns out then you are free to represent your voters, and you can do a lot. So AOC put Green New Deal on the map almost single-handedly.
Right.
Others had been talking about similar projects, but she called it Green New Deal. She gave it structure and form and moved the national conversation. Ro Khanna worked with Bernie Sanders to raise wages for workers at Amazon. They said, oh, you can't do that. They called it the Stop Bezos Act. They were aggressive and they got it done. So many things were done by these new congressmen who are actually free to represent their voters.
Do you think Katie Hill was doing a good job out here?
So Katie, I like that she was for Medicare for all. I like that she ran more progressive than the current establishment Democrat. When she got into office, unfortunately, she just mainly did whatever leadership told her. Okay, so she did not vary from leadership almost at all. So I would hope that your representative would fight for you tooth and nail in every way, shape, and form, no matter who it is. Okay.
Well, I have two questions on that. Okay. The first one is.
Sorry, just to finish the earlier thought.
Sure.
So, but why am I motivated? Because nobody is having a national conversation about issues that affect all of us, and I can give you exact examples of how it affects us here in the 25th District, which is the bribery. The campaign contributions from corporations are unmitigated bribes, and everyone knows it. Just the media won't say it, and the Democratic Party won't say it. Certainly, the Republican Party is the worst of the worst. They're at a national level, they are 100% corrupt.
Are contributions from unions bribes?
So I would end contributions from all private interests, including unions. But I get what unions are doing. Unions are saying, I'm trying to represent my workers, and if corporations are going to give money, I'm going to give money.
Okay.
So they have no choice, but they're getting outspent 10 to 1, 20 to 1 by the corporations. Mm-hmm. So the unions should want money out of politics first, because they're always going to be outspent. So why does that matter? Well, look, we got Santa Susana Field Laboratory outside of Simi Valley. They've been leaking toxins and even radioactive material into the water for decades now. They said they were going to fix it in 2007. They didn't do it. They said they were going to fix it in 2017. They didn't do it. Why? Because they buy off the politicians. I mean, if you have a representative here that only represents the voters, they should go and do a full frontal assault on Boeing. Boeing, you're going to clean up this water or we're going to bankrupt you. No ands, ifs, or buts. I'm not interested in your BS excuses. I'm not interested in your bribes. I'm coming for you. If you don't take the toxins out of that water, I will destroy you. That is what happens in a democracy when you have a government that actually works for you instead of working for goddamn Boeing in that case. CEMEX, what are you still doing here? It's a multinational corporation. I got no interest in you. The voters in this district have no interest in you. What, for your profit, we put pollution into the air? That doesn't make any sense. The NRA with their goddamn bribes, and we have school shootings here. We have school shootings all across the country. Why? Do you know that 97% of Americans want federal background checks, but we don't? But we don't have them. What kind of a democracy do we have if, what do you need, 98%, 99%? The reason we don't have them is because the Republican Party is bought by the NRA through their bribes. If you're not talking about that, you're having a nonsense conversation and you're never going to stop the school shootings.
Okay.
Everything is connected to this.
Okay. You're getting on your soapbox there for a second.
Yeah, that's because I'm actually animated.
I recognize and I respect your passion for it. But I think more specifically, you talk about, well, there's the two things I wanted to talk about. It's like you were kind of dissing Katie on the fact that she kind of ran with leadership and everything. You recognize, though, that the Democrats themselves, I mean, you've got to work with a group. You can't just because you feel this is the way you want to do things. Even AOC on a certain level has, given in and accepted certain things to.
I will not give in.
What good is that? I mean,
I'll tell you exactly what good it is. Okay, so again, thank you for the question. Yeah. These are all good, legitimate questions, and I want everybody to understand where I come from. Okay. And you should ask the same of everyone else, and
I do,
and get it. And I'm sure you do. That's why I appreciate the program. So, look, one theory of change is just bow your head, listen to Steny Hoyer, take orders from him. He's the second leading Democrat in the House, and wait for crumbs off their table 20 years down the road. I don't believe in that theory of change. Okay. I believe in the theory of change of, aggressively make your argument. So, for example, if I was in Congress when the shooting happened here in Santa Clarita, I would have gone on the floor of the House and I would have put up a giant poster of $1.2 million that Mitch McConnell took, and I might have even put up pictures of people who had suffered through shootings, not our community, but old pictures, and say, this is what happens. It's super uncomfortable.
Right.
But it is what happens. Our kids do die when he takes those bribes. Now, Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer would have been upset about that. Hey, Cenk, we didn't sanction that. That's not how we're doing it. That's disrespectful to the Republicans. I don't care that you think it's disrespectful. I don't care about your morsels off your plate. But I'm going to fight Republicans. I'm going to fight them, and I'm going to beat them. And so we cannot win unless Mitch McConnell loses in Kentucky.
I agree.
So if Pelosi and Hoyer say we're not going to fight McConnell, then get out the way. Get out the way, because I will. Okay? And yes, Stephen, you could embarrass these people and say, hey, so the House did a good thing. So if leadership says, hey, you want to vote on $15 minimum wage? I say, oh, fantastic. Yes, I definitely want $15 minimum wage. And they did. Now, they took way too long, but it's okay. Credit where credit is due. They finally passed it. So then they just stop and give up. No. You go and do another speech and say McConnell is definitively against higher wages in America. Everyone in Kentucky, in his home state, should know, as he's up for re-election, he does not want you to have higher wages. And it's a fact. And I would challenge the media. Is it true or untrue that he is not allowing a vote on a $15 minimum wage? It is true. He is definitively against higher wages. The Democratic leadership says, no, we have to be civil and not fight. Wrong, disagree. It's the wrong theory of change. If you want real change, you have to actually fight against Republicans. If you're not willing to do it, I am. Get out of the way.
I'm not talking about the Republicans. things.
Okay.
I mean,
so let's talk about the Democrats.
No, yeah, let me ask the question.
Okay.
I mean, let's give an example of Obamacare, okay? Most radical change in healthcare in, 30, 40 years, possibly, arguably. That was hard to get through because you had to fight almost every Democrat to get him through. Even Dennis Kucinich was a problem. I mean, Obama had to meet with him personally and say, look, I need your vote on this. So what I'm saying is you can sit there and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to yell and I'm going to call him a son of a bitch and all this other stuff. That doesn't get anything done.
That's not true. It totally gets things done. It defeats Republicans. If everybody in Kentucky knew that Mitch McConnell is against raising their wages. You're talking about an election.
I'm talking about government. There's a difference.
But Stephen, if you don't actually win elections, you can't pass any of the damn bills.
Yes.
So you've got to win the elections, and you've got to. So the alternate theory of change is, let's ask Mitch McConnell, pretty please, can he please raise wages? Can he please stop taking money from NRA? That is borderline stupid, okay? That is never, ever going to work. That is never, ever going to work.
Wait a minute.
And you know that.
Okay.
And you know that.
Yes, but you are just keep going back to Mitch McConnell being the problem. He's a Republican.
Because he is.
No, I am saying if you're going to be a Democrat and you're going to get up there and piss off Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and stuff like that.
Yes, I am.
They're not going to listen to you. You're not going to get any bills introduced.
And I'm not going to listen to them.
Well, you're not going to get anything done.
No. That's not remotely true. That's not remotely true.
All right.
That theory is the pretty please theory of change. Like, if I just beg leadership, hey, please, while you're taking these bribes from massive insurance companies and massive drug companies that are killing our people, they're literally killing our people with how high the drug prices are. And if you don't have insurance and you got a kid and they get cancer, they die in this brutal system. Can you please give us some crumbs? No, I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
So right now they're debating in Congress, negotiating drug prices, okay? All the Democrats promised, we're going to negotiate drug prices on your behalf. Why? Because it's a layup. It's the easiest thing in the world. Everybody hates how high the drug prices are.
Right.
We get charged drug prices that are infinitely higher than the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they bought off all of our politicians.
Right.
Drug industry is the #1 political donor in the country. More than oil, more than the bankers, drug companies. Okay, so when they go to do it, the progressives like Ro Khanna and others say, hey, great, let's negotiate all drug prices. Pelosi and Hoyer say, no, only 25 drugs. What? Why would we only negotiate prices out of thousands and thousands of drugs on only 25 drugs? Well, some of the, what they call moderate, but in reality, conservative Democrats don't want to do that. Why don't they want to do that? And Ro Khanna and Mark Pocan, the head of the Progressive Caucus, they said, just give us one reason. And then leadership says, no, I'm not going to give you a reason. And I'll give you the reason, because they take giant amount of money from drug companies, not just the Republicans, but those conservative Democrats. You know what I would do? I would call out those Democrats and I would embarrass them and say, okay, hey, listen, you want to take $360,000 from drug companies as one of the Democratic representatives does? Yeah. Okay, be upfront about it. Here, I'm going to put up a giant poster of you taking $360,000 from these drug companies, and then you want to tell me we're going to negotiate over whether it's 25 drugs or 35 drugs. Hey, listen, you do it all day long, but you're going to lose your next election. I'm going to help a progressive defeat you, and we're going to have progressives defeat all of you corrupt Democrats until we pass the damn bills.
If you are so concerned about the corruptness of the Democrats, why are you even a Democrat then? Why not be the Peace for Freedom Party?
No way. They don't own the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is a progressive party. It has always been progressive. FDR is the perfect example of a Democrat.
Okay.
And FDR is arguably more progressive than I am. Okay? So that is the reality of the Democratic Party. These corporate hacks have stolen that party. We're going to get it back. I never concede a fight. So if they say, no, the Democratic Party today is for corruption and corporate PAC money, I say, well, that's your opinion, man. That's not my opinion. We're going to board your aircraft carrier with our pirate ship, and we're going to take it over. And we're going to take it over for the voters. So, Stephen, you tell me, does any voter want higher drug prices? Would any voter say, oh, you know what? Don't negotiate drug prices on all the drugs. Only do it on 25. Oh, you know what? I love that you're taking drug company money. Hey, Nancy Pelosi, you've taken millions of dollars from drug companies, and then you tell me you don't want to negotiate prices unlike what you told me earlier. That's a great idea. I love paying more so that you can get more campaign contributions. Not a single voter believes that. By the way, not only do Democrats not believe that, And they love having a fighter that actually fights for the real Democratic Party, not the one that has been corrupted by this leadership. But independents also like that. They also don't want to pay higher drug prices. They also don't want their kids to die if they don't have health insurance. They also want higher wages. They also don't want school shootings. You know all the other Democrats aren't going to do a goddamn thing about it. They're going to bow their heads. They're going to listen to Steny Hoyer. They're going to take orders from them. And they're not going to fight for you. So the people in this district have a super clear choice. You're either going to vote for someone who says, yes, pretty please, I will do whatever leadership tells me, and I will take the same corporate contributions and sell out to those same interests. Or that guy, I don't know if I like him. He seems a little aggressive. He seems a little too passionate, but I get a sense he's going to fight for us, okay? That's your choice.
You read Stephen King much?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to read his novels. Obviously,
You remind me of a character in The Dead Zone called Greg Stolson.
Uh-huh. I don't know who that is, so I can't comment on it.
Watch the movie.
I'm going to guess, given what you've said so far, that it might not be a favorable character.
Well, in the sense, since it was in the movie, it was played by Martin Sheen, and he came out and he kept saying, hey, nobody's listening to anybody. We're going to get this straightened out, and we're going to come in there and fight for you and everything like that. But it's not realistic.
It's not remotely true. Here, I'll give you one more example. The Stop Bezos Act that Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders pushed for. Everybody in the media and everyone in the corporate Democrats said, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my God, you're offending our beloved Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world and the owner of Washington Post, and they'll write bad articles, and it's not practical. You're not going to be able to raise their wages. And you know what happened? They created pressure, political public pressure, exactly what I'm talking about. And Amazon crumbled. They caved in and they raised their minimum wage to $15. And not only that, Stephen, after that, Amazon then thought, well, now we're at a competitive disadvantage with people who are not paying $15. I'm now going to join forces with progressives to push for a $15 minimum wage for everyone so I could be equal with my competition. It is practical to fight. You get real pragmatic results when you actually make your own case. I don't know any theory of change that says you're going to get practical results by not fighting, by not doing anything. And so it's a preposterous theory of change. It's only backed up by the mainstream media who loves the status quo, doesn't want any change.
No, I think if you check history, it is the tradition of this country that there is a work together and give and take on both sides, and eventually something gets done.
Nope. I'll give you two examples of that.
All right, give me two examples.
Okay, so number one, FDR didn't say, well, Social Security, some of the Republicans are, or actually all the Republicans are against this, so I'm going to work with them and do half Social Security. No. He said, I'm going to make a case for Social Security, and I'm going to ram it down their throats. And guess what? We got Social Security because he fought for it, and it's the most popular program in American history. Okay. You win by fighting. Now, on the other hand, Joe Biden did deal with, here we go again, with Mitch McConnell, because he's the relevant player, okay, during the Obama administration. They were working on the tax cuts and whether they were going to extend them. They were the Bush tax cuts, which the Bush tax cuts were actually deeper than the Trump tax cuts, and they were largely for the rich. So Biden goes in there and does something that Bush couldn't do. He made those tax cuts permanent for the rich. Not all of them, 94% of them. That deal was so bad that even other establishment Democrats like Michael Bennet were incensed. Michael Bennet, who does not like Medicare for all, total establishment Democrat, wrote a whole book about how Biden betrayed them. What did he do? Biden said, oh, I'm pragmatic. I made a deal. But that deal was terrible. That deal was terrible.
No, wait a minute.
And almost all the deals that the Democrats make are terrible and go towards the Republicans.
You are telling one side of the story on that. Now, Obama,
okay, great. What's the other side? 6%?
No. Obama was fighting to keep unemployment benefits going in one of the worst recessions in this country's history. And McConnell was going to cut them off.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it was a great deal.
It was a terrible deal.
But the Democrats did get something for the people that needed it.
Yes, they did. They got crumbs. So let me explain what I would have done instead.
Yes.
Okay. So I would have said, no, I'm not going to extend forever. Bush couldn't even do it. Forever, these giant tax cuts for the rich so that you'll give unemployment benefits to people who desperately need it. No, I will use the bully pulpit. I'll go out there and say, this son of a bitch, Mitch McConnell, these awful Republicans don't want you to have unemployment insurance. All right, so listen, guys, I can't give you unemployment insurance until you vote out every single Republican. If you vote them out, then you get unemployment insurance.
My guess is you get voted out then.
Why? Why would you think that, Stephen?
Because you're not,
see, look at that defeatist attitude.
It's
the country's in favor of unemployment insurance. I can show you poll after poll over 60, 70% want unemployment insurance. So why would you lose?
Because the people expect you to get things done, not to blame it on the Republicans. They expect you to find a way to work with.
They don't expect me to give Republicans 94% of what they want. If you're a voter in the 25th District and you say, hey, Cenk, be practical, give Republicans 94% of what they want and settle for 6%, I'm not your guy. I'm not the 6% guy, okay? You apparently have a choice. You have someone in this race who will be like ecstatic with, I got 6%! Congratulations. I'm not interested in that. We're going to make our case. We're right on every single issue, including unemployment insurance. And if you make that case and you take it to the American people, you defeat Republicans, then you don't extend tax cuts for the rich. You use that money for health care, for higher wage jobs, for actually fixing our climate, bringing more solar jobs in the Antelope Valley, etc. You do that stuff and you win instead of constantly cowering. God, if you're a Democrat, aren't you sick of constantly cowering from the Republicans? Don't you want someone to finally fight back against them?
Well, okay. Let's follow up on the why question. Why the 25th, though? I mean, Duncan Hunter's going to be unemployed soon, it looks like.
Yeah.
Why not there? I mean, why the 25th? What is it about the 25th? I mean...
So, first of all, yeah, I mean, it's kind of ironic, but it is close to me. So it's moving here is very normal, I don't want to go down to San Diego. I don't want to this is where I live. It's just 25 minutes up the road. And I love this area. And
how many times have you been to this area before you decided to run?
So a bunch of times, but not that many. So okay. I'm not a slick politician. I don't know if you could tell. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh my God, I used to be here all the time. No. But it is a wonderful area, and it's middle class. It's perfect. I love that it's a purple district.
Right.
I love that it's middle class. I love that it's working class. That's a perfect district for someone like me who believes these are the folks that I want to fight for. I don't want to go run in Beverly Hills. First of all, my message wouldn't work there. They're already rich. They love the status quo. Second of all, I don't want to represent just rich people. I want to represent real working class Americans. There's so much opportunity here. I mean, look, I know this is talk of Santa Clarita, right? But look at the Antelope Valley. We should be doing endless solar projects, wind projects there. And what does it do? It fixes climate change. Yeah. It creates jobs. It creates higher paying jobs. And maybe, just maybe, we have less fires. Here's another thing to fight on. We have private utilities down here. Mm-hmm. They want to maximize their profits, so they don't bury their power lines because that would cost them profits. Well, the power lines keep falling and causing fires. But they privatized all the gains. They took all the profits home, but they socialized the losses. So they say, hey, when you have a fire here, you pay for it. I don't care. I'm not going to pay for it. Okay, when your house burns down, let your insurance deal with it, let you deal with it, let the local government deal with it. No, I'm a private company. I maximize profit, and I put all the costs on you. No way. It should be public utilities.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Honestly, a lot of your political stances are things I agree with. I'm a little bit more pragmatic about what can get done.
No, you're less pragmatic. I love you, Stephen, but you're less pragmatic.
Sure.
Okay? I don't settle for 6%.
All right. Okay. I think there are a lot of people with unemployment that would have been were happy that for that 6%. But let's talk a little bit specifically about the 25th. I mean, what do you know about its history as far as the political changes in this area?
Yeah. So, look.
I mean, why do you think you can win?
100%. So let me explain. So, yes, this district used to be Republican. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's purple now. But it has been trending Democratic in a way that is very solid. So, Hillary Clinton won this district by 7 points. Katie won it by 9 points. Mm-hmm. So, if it's one Democrat versus one Republican, which is almost certainly what is going to happen in the general election on May 12th, that's a special election for Katie's seat, okay? Mm-hmm. The Democrat has an excellent chance of winning. So now the question is, what kind of Democrat do you want in there? For two different reasons. One is, well, what's the kind of Democrat you want in Congress to actually represent you, fight for you, etc. Okay? But the second is, can that Democrat win against a Republican? So their theory on that, the corporate Democrats' theory on that is, well, I'll try not to offend Republicans, and I'll do like soft things like, hey, when there's a shooting, I'll say thoughts and prayers. That's a Republican talking point. And so I don't want to offend Republicans.
Right.
Okay, I got news for you. Ain't no Trump voter voting for a Democrat. So you're barking up the wrong tree. You should be going for independents, not for hardcore MAGA guys. But the MAGA guys are hopeless. If Christy or anybody else thinks that they're going to get Republican voters, they're nuts. That's not going to happen. But you can get independent voters. So how do you get independent voters? You get them by saying, I'm going to raise your wages because I have a real plan to do that, as we talked about earlier. I have a real plan to get your family health care. Aren't you sick of being bankrupted or worrying about being bankrupted or worried about sickness because we're at the mercy of private insurance companies? I'm going to get you higher paying jobs with solar, wind, etc. I can go down the list. Independence, and when you talk about bribery, every independent goes, that's right, it is bribes. It's obviously bribes. When you get a corporate Democrat that takes the same amount of money, they tell independents, no, my corporate contributors are wonderful citizens and patriots, and you should really like big business that I took money from. Independents hate that. So we are much more likely to win with a Democrat who is uncorrupted, doesn't take corporate PAC money or lobbyist money. Independents will vote for that way more than they'll vote for a corporate Democrat.
So Kate, you would acknowledge that Katie's election was pretty seminal out here, right? I mean, pretty significant. But did you pay attention to her campaign? Because her campaign was not based on an extremely progressive agenda. It was based on a moderate attitude of pulling independents and non-Trumpers.
This district is now Democratic. Hillary Clinton won it by 7 points. So
and Steve Knight won, though. I mean,
So I get it, but it does take a little while for people to realize how corrupted the Republican Party is, and to get rid of the incumbents that they had here because they're used to voting for them and name recognition. These are political realities.
But have you
in terms of, if your thesis is this district in particular, unlike any other district, has independents that love big corporations and love it when you take campaign contributions from them and serve their interests, I don't agree. There is no such district, and it certainly isn't this one. So, and the great thing about primaries is, let's take it to the voters.
Right.
Okay?
But, yeah, I just, have you looked at done any research on, like, previous candidates that have run out here against Republicans and stuff like that?
Yes.
Have you seen anything in common about the difference between Katie and the other Democratic candidates that have run, or the other candidates that have run against?
It's more of a changing demographics than it was their attitude. So Lee Rogers, for example, Lee Rogers ran out here.
Yeah.
He was a solid progressive.
Okay.
He's now endorsed me. Okay, so Lee's fantastic. But
Lee Rogers has endorsed you over Christy Smith?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
I'll check on that.
I love that you're not sure that if I'm telling the truth. We did a press release on it.
I didn't see the press release. Lee is a friend of mine. I'll ask him directly.
Yes, please. And please tell your audience after you check.
I will.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. And so, now, but Lee was not that he was the wrong candidate. He was just the wrong time. The demographics had not shifted yet.
Yeah.
So it was more heavily Republican at the time.
Yeah.
So if Lee ran today, he would almost certainly win. So bless his heart, he's not running. He's got other things to do. He thinks he's adamant about Medicare for all, agrees with my progressive stance, so he's backing me. So look, the district is now 35, and some believe it's actually, since the last census, all the way up to 38, 39% Latino.
Yeah.
So those are far more likely to be Democratic voters. And folks that came out of the old school in this district, honestly, almost never go up to the Antelope Valley. That's what I've heard over and over and over again.
But
so that Antelope Valley is totally Democratic, and it's being ignored. And you want to know why, Stephen? Because you can't do fundraisers in Antelope Valley. They're too poor. Okay, so that's why they get ignored. So I don't care about the fundraisers. I don't do that. So since I don't take those kind of money, I can go represent the Antelope Valley, and I can represent Santa Clarita just as well, because I'm going to actually fight for the voters. Any theory that says, no, fighting for the voters is not going to work in this district, I think that's nuts.
You talk about fighting for the voters, though. Did you actually make a statement, though, that you believe that the voters, the Democrats out here, are corrupt, and you weren't going to listen to them?
In terms of the state party and the corporate hacks that run that, absolutely I did. So they all come out.
But what about the local parties out here?
So local parties, I'm happy to talk to. So I'll go.
Have you talked to the Democratic Alliance?
So from what I understand,
yet?
First of all, that person apparently not only supports Christy, but his wife is working on our campaign. But nonetheless, I'm happy to go talk to them. I'll make my case to anybody, and they could stack the room with Christy supporters. I don't care. I'm happy to fight on any grounds. I'm happy to talk to anyone. Okay, and I guarantee you that all those folks who now got their marching orders from the state Democratic Party know we have handpicked someone. The voters will not choose.
Yeah.
The state party will choose. We have handpicked someone. All of you put out the same talking point on the same day against Cenk. Cenk is calling us corrupt. You must destroy him. You're telling me that that's a coincidence that they all had the same?
Insulting is what it is. If you're saying that Democrats out here
No,
are
hold
corrupt.
on, Stephen. Do you think when they all put out the same talking points on the same day that was a coincidence?
No, of course they're talking to each other, Cenk.
Of course they have coordinated and said, we do not want the voters to decide. The Democratic elite have decided on their behalf. We have handpicked someone. How dare you want to do a democracy?
Now, wait a minute for a second, okay? Let's be pragmatic.
Good luck. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If in the special election, if that person gets a 50% of the majority or 50% of the vote, they move on and just take on for the full thing.
They do for the May election, but not for the November election.
Okay.
Yes.
Why come in here and risk splitting the Democratic vote and allowing the possibility of a Republican walking in? Why do that?
There's two things about that. Number one, this is the same excuse that they use every time. Hey, Hillary Clinton, we know, Bernie Sanders, we know Hillary Clinton's going to beat Donald Trump, so why are you bothering risking spending resources in our primaries, splitting the Democratic Party? We have anointed and handpicked Hillary Clinton. She's obviously going to beat Trump. Hey, Stephen, how'd that work out?
Well, there are a lot of Bernie voters that didn't vote for Hillary.
That's not remotely true. In fact,
Jill Stein
12 and a, no. See, that's totally talking points.
So
I'll show you.
I know Bernie
Stephen,
supporters.
I know the polling. So let me tell you, okay? So about 12.5% of Bernie voters, if I remember correctly, wound up voting for a third party, etc. Do you know how many Hillary Clinton people did not vote for Obama? 25%.
Okay.
Twice as much. So Bernie Sanders supporters supported the eventual Democratic nominee at a greater rate, at a significantly greater rate than historical standards. And why did they do that? Because Bernie then turned around and did 43 rallies on behalf of Hillary Clinton. So that talking point about how Bernie voters didn't vote for Hillary disproportionately is totally factually incorrect.
But
and what it does is it says, don't have primaries. Don't let the voters decide. We have anointed Hillary. We have anointed Christy. How dare you, you ruffian, come in here and say that we are taking bribes when we take money from corporations. So you want me to answer it?
Sure.
I don't care if they're offended. They're like, what? I took money from all these corporate interests.
No, wait
and so now you're calling me corrupt. Goddamn right I am.
No, wait a minute.
Absolutely I am.
Hold on, Cenk, okay? I mean, first of all, there's a word that you keep forgetting to bring up that seems to be really a dirty word out here in this district that I think is very unique about this district, and it's carpetbagger. Okay, Lee Rogers lost in the jungle primary based on another Democrat running that split the vote who was from the area.
So let me
wait a minute. Let
me address the second part of it.
Brian Caforio lost because he was a carpetbagger.
No, Brian Caforio. By the way, Katie Hill split the vote against Brian Caforio. Caforio was the candidate the Democratic Party was backing. Why did Katie come in? How dare she? See, I don't believe that. That's what the other side believes, that Katie shouldn't have run against Caforio because he was the pick of the Democratic Party.
He was not the pick.
He was. He had the Democratic nomination until Christy switched her votes. So he was definitively the Democratic Party pick. He was a Democratic Party pick last time, and he was in this election. Katie came in, and she had every right to come in. That's how primaries work. So she came in and she won the election fair and square, and I have no problems with that. Look, if you're saying you don't believe in primaries, fine. Agree to disagree.
It's not that I don't believe in primaries.
But hold on, Stephen. If you say, okay, I believe in primaries, but if the Democratic Party has already anointed someone, you're going to split the vote, so you shouldn't come in. Then you're saying, okay, I don't actually believe in primaries. I believe the Democratic Party and their infinite corruption should just pick someone who will go along with their orders, and then we're done with it.
Democratic Party.
Because then you say you can't ever enter. How about this? I'll turn it around. Right now, I have more money than Christy. I got it from 14,000 individual contributions.
From this district?
Okay, I would bet you significant money that I've got more contributors and more volunteers from this district than she does. Okay, because I actually base my campaign on voters. She bases on donors. So she's got a lot of donors, but she doesn't have a lot of people who are donating from this district. Her average donation this year is $2,700. My average donation is $28. Okay, so So if you're saying, hey, listen, you're splitting up the vote. Hold on. I'm the one that at this point has raised more money, as far as we can tell. I'm the one who has way more volunteers. We broke a record on number of people who volunteered for a congressional campaign in one day. 1,200 people, okay? Hold on. So by all metrics, since I am now the favorite, I guess she shouldn't split up the vote. I guess she should get out of the race immediately. Wait.
No,
Does that make sense? That's your logic. That's not my logic. I believe in primaries.
No.
So Stephen, answer the question. That's your logic. Is she splitting up the vote because I am clearly the favorite by her own metrics?
I think that when you get into a final election, the one constant I have seen in every election for the past 30 years in this district is the thing that has stopped somebody from winning is the fact that they are not from this district. Okay, the carpetbaggers. You can shake your head all you want.
Well, I've seen the polling.
Okay, you can say that all you want, but I can tell you the one thing.
It's also not true. I've seen the polling.
Okay, name somebody not from this district that's won.
So that's a fair point, and I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Brian was outside the district, and he barely lost to Steve Knight in 2016.
Right.
But you know the changing demographics. You know that if
yes.
Brian was running today
But
or Lee was running today, you know they'd win.
But I think people are very loyal to this district and see it as an area of, like, they expect you to come from this district.
Okay, then Stephen, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So now you happen to, it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like based on the conversation we're having, that you're more in the Christy school of thought, not that you're supporting her. Okay.
No. Christy is a friend. She's been on the show several times. But what I think a lot of the Democrats in this area feel is she's from this area. She grew up here.
Okay, so I'm about to ask you about that.
Okay, so she grew up here. She worked with Katie on her campaign. They campaigned together. Katie has basically given her blessing to Christy to take her seat.
Well, wonderful. She's handpicked. Okay.
No, endorsed her. It's not handpicked. It's just
It is handpicked. She literally said handpicked. In a tweet, she said handpicked.
Okay, fine, but that's not, like you said, primaries. But
primaries.
It's still an endorsement. It's saying, this is who I would like to take my seat. If you supported me, this is who I think you should vote for. And Christy also knows the Democratic Alliance for Action, knows the Young Democrats in this area, the Antelope Valley. She knows the Simi Valley area.
Antelope Valley? Really? She knows anybody in the Antelope Valley?
I'm willing to bet she does, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, what I'm saying is she's been around this district for a long time, her whole life.
Okay, so Stephen, here's my question to you.
She's done the work as far as being a representative for the people in this area.
So now I'm going to give you a bit of an extreme example, but we can make it less extreme if you like.
Go
so
for it.
if you said to me, Bernie Sanders lives 25 minutes from you, Donald Trump lives next door to you, and he's lived next door to you your whole life, who are you going to vote for? That's the easiest question I've ever heard in my life. I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't agree with Donald Trump.
Right.
I agree with Bernie Sanders. And then on top of that, you said, hey, Bernie Sanders is going to move next door to you in a couple of months. Where's the question? I'm going to vote for the person I agree with. So if you say, no, it matters more to me that she lives closer to me than the issues matter, okay, that's fair. And that's your priorities. I get it. And some of those people are going to say, hey, I live right next door. I'm going to vote for her. Okay. I'm asking you, who's going to affect your life? Who agrees with you more on the issues? Who's going to fight for you more? Who's going to get your results? If you say, okay, I think Christy is, okay, well, that's fair.
She did.
Okay, if you think, no, I think I agree with you on the issues more, but I like that Christy's a little bit closer to my house. Okay, that's fair. You're going to vote for her. But I think most people are going to say, I agree with that guy, and I think he's going to fight for me. And I'd rather have him, who's going to move here in a couple of months, than someone I happen to live a little closer to at this moment in time. But that's for the voters to decide.
I think what I mean by all this is that this district in particular, people feel that a representative needs to live here to understand the issues that affect this district directly. I mean, how much do you know about Cemex?
So I know that it's a construction company that came out of Mexico. They've been there a long time. They put up all this dust and pollution in the air. They're not accountable to us. Steve Knight claims that he fought against them. Well, obviously not effectively because they're still here. So look, I'm not one of these guys like Papadopoulos or whatever, who doesn't know what the
Yeah.
hell he's
Yeah,
doing.
he's funny.
Yeah, and he's preposterous, and he doesn't care to win. He doesn't care to represent you. He's in it for his ego, okay?
Right.
So is he going to do the research, and is he going to do the hard work of finding out every single nook and cranny of this district and fighting for you guys? Of course not. What I'm telling you is I am willing to do that. I have done that. I'll do that more and more as we go along, especially as your representative. But you're asking me questions, and as you can tell, I know them, right? That's because I care. I care to learn it. I care to represent you guys. I care to fight for you guys. If I'm going to be your representative, I got to know what drives you. How pissed are you about the water in Simi Valley being poisoned by Boeing? How mad are you about the shootings? How mad are you about the fires? What can we do about it? How can we fix it together? How are we going to fix the traffic coming down Route 14 from the Antelope Valley? Maybe the better idea is to create more jobs in the Antelope Valley, to create more jobs in the 25th District so we don't have this goddamn traffic problem. So those are the things that I care a lot about. So you got to ask yourself, if somebody came in here and didn't do their homework and you sense that they were not genuine, you say, okay, you know what, that guy's in it for himself, I'm not interested. Does it seem like I'm not genuine? I mean, you could disagree with me,
look,
but...
I don't disagree with a lot of your beliefs. Again, just more pragmatic about it. But...
It's okay.
No, but, you know, it's the same thing with, like, when I interviewed Katie the very first time. I literally was just writing down, thinking about the district itself as I was interviewing her, and running a checklist of, like, what she needs to win if she's going to be a viable candidate. And the thing that stuck in my head more than anything else is she grew up here. Because I kept seeing that being a problem with every other candidate the Democrats have been putting up, hadn't grown up in this area. But
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Every day you come on air and you say you're friends with Christy and you tell people, oh, no, you can't win unless you're from here. You can't win. No, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's not true. No, the people are going to get to choose. They're going to choose based on issues, based on what actually drives them in their personal lives. So I don't agree with that. And the good news is, no matter what we agree or disagree on, Stephen, is the voters choose. I will not let the corrupt Democratic Party handpick anyone for you. You choose.
Okay, and I'm not endorsing Christy here or anything like that. I am just looking at paper and thinking about in terms of, and I mean, for example, you call the California.
Come on, you're looking at paper, Stephen. Look, be real. I'm being super real, honest, genuine. I think you can tell. I think that's fair. You're friends with Christy. You're not friends with me. You don't know me.
I don't know you.
So come on. You tell me you're being fair and objective. Come on.
I am asking, look, same question I put to Brian Caforio about living out here, you know, as being a carpetbagger.
This is now like your 8th question about it. Do you want to ask me about Medicare for All? Christy doesn't want Medicare for All. So that
neither did Katie. When Katie.
Then she switched on it.
Yes, but when she was campaigning, she said in a pragmatic way, I have no problem with Medicare for All as long as we can find a way to pay for it.
And she won by 9 points, even though her stance was Medicare for All. Why did Christy change? Why is Christy against Medicare for All? Well, Katie won. Katie won being in favor of Medicare for All. She won by 9 points. She won easily. So why did Christy change? Why did Christy change? Why did she change? She changed because she got her marching orders from the Democratic Party. We all take money from drug companies. We all take money from insurance companies. Christy, if you want us to anoint you and handpick you, you will not be for Medicare for All. I don't care how popular it is in the Democratic Party. I don't care how popular it is in the country. And I don't care how much it gives people health care that they desperately need. You have got your orders, Christy, and you will follow them. And you know that's what happened.
Wait. Again, maybe Katie came out for Medicare for All after she was elected. But when she campaigned, I interviewed her 7 times. She never supported it until there was a definite way to pay for it. That was always her concern. I have spoken to Christy several times about the idea of Medicare for All. And she has had the same response. There needs to be a way to pay for it.
There is a way to pay for it. See, that's all nonsense Republican talking points. Do you know right now there's $6 million of ads that Republicans are paying for in the primary season in the Democratic primaries? You know why? They're trying to help Biden and Buttigieg defeat people like Warren and Sanders because they don't want Medicare for All. So they've spent all their corrupt money fighting against it. And the talking point that they use is you can't pay for it. It's not remotely true. Do you know that every other developed country has single payer? And on average, it costs half of what we spend. We get worse results. We have worse life expectancy. We live under the terror of constantly, what if we get sick? Is it going to bankrupt us? Are we going to die, etc.? We live under the terror of private insurance. And then they tell you it's too expensive to do change. It's exact opposite of the truth. The reality is this system costs too much. All the money goes to marketing, corporate PACs, buying off politicians, executive salaries that are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. It is an absolute undeniable fact. You could Google it, you could check it. Every country that has single payer pays on average half of what we pay, and they are fully covered. It is the insurance company and their henchmen in the Republican and Democratic Party that are lying to you about that.
Okay, well, again, the reason I didn't bring up Medicare for All is because I think that's an issue. Like, people know where they stand on it, and
no, Christy's trying to hide every single issue. You can't find a single issue on our website. So I'm glad that you're asking her. I hope that you continue to ask her about every single issue. I hope that once you've gotten past the talking points, you ask me about every single issue.
Okay. Talking points.
Like, this is Oppo Research 101, and I don't mind you asking, but I also want to talk about the issues.
Research? What are you talking about? Man, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I told you, I watched you on MSNBC. I like a lot of what you have to say.
Steven, ask me about the issues. Ask me about the issues. I'll ask any question on any issue.
What I want to ask you right now is, you put a tweet out accusing Christy of using bots on her Twitter account.
100%, yes.
What proof do you have on that?
Okay, so here, I'll tell you, okay? So I wish that we could get Twitter to actually be honest about how their system works and have people buy bots and trolls.
Yeah.
So I put out a tweet at 2:45 a.m. Eastern a couple of days ago. And a highly edited clip comes out 1 second after my tweet. There is no human being sitting around at 2:45 in the morning looking at old clips, editing them, and putting them up within a second of your tweet. That's not a thing that human beings do. I live in social media. I live online. That's where our career was. That's what we've been doing for 18 years. Young Turks is literally the oldest show in internet history. There is no such thing. That is a bot. Okay, it automatically comes. So now on every tweet that I have, they on purpose pay people to go and take these edited clips that they researched. No human being sits there and goes, let me go through 10,000 hours, 50,000 hours of Young Turks video library, find clips that I could take out of context, edit them, and then put them on every single tweet of Cenk's. No, those are paid, and you know that, Stephen.
I think okay. All right. Well, I mean, look, I think that there is a feeling, though, from the Democrats in this area, and you can accuse me of going by talking points. I'm not. These are actually questions from local Democrats that were sent to me.
Yeah, local Democrats who are all on Christie's side, and none of them are about the issues. But go ahead, ask me on any issue.
No, okay. They wanted to know.
Ask me about guns, ask me about climate change, ask me about wages, ask me about any of that. So these are every single thing that Christy and her allies want you to ask me. But I answer those. I answered them 8 times. If you want, let's answer it 10 times.
Okay, tell me about Chiquita landfill. What would you do about that? Can you do anything about that?
So the landfills are very difficult because they are actually garbage from this area. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple of landfill issues. And those you have to study more, or I have to study more to see what's a practical and pragmatic outcome for those landfills that are necessary but do cause problems.
Okay.
So there are issues that are easier to tackle, and there are issues that are more nuanced and harder to tackle.
Okay. Aliso Canyon, tell me about what you would do about that.
So, look, on all these issues, again, there are things that are easier and harder. To me, Santa Susana Field Laboratory is super easy. They already made the promise to clean it up, and they didn't. So on these things like Aliso Canyon and the landfills, it's more nuanced. So it's fair to ask me, and I asked you to ask me, and you did, so thank you. Let me come back to you with a more nuanced answer. I hope we can do this again. It seems like we didn't agree a lot, but as you can, to say the least.
Believe it or not, in principle, we agree on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. A lot of things. I just think if you study history of this country and the way things work in general, the attitude of I'm going to get things done and I'm going to raise hell doesn't get anything done.
We disagree on that.
I know. But my point is,
Martin Luther King got things done, and what did he do? He didn't sit quietly by.
He wasn't a politician.
No, but hey, he created political public pressure, and we got the Civil Rights Act and we got the Voting Rights Act because he said, do not take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. We need the fierce urgency of now. So that Barack Obama said that he believes that. I definitely believe that. He's my absolute hero. I believe in the fierce urgency of now. I believe you go for big change, and when you go for big change, you get big change. If you never go for big change, you're never going to get it. So look, I need people to know that if you want to know more, Cenk2020.com. I hope you put that link up. Yeah. Cenk2020.com. I thought we were also going to talk about fun stuff.
We're getting ready to do that. Lightning round, so you can get out of here. I know
Okay.
we're running late, but I mean, you're a good talker. So,
Okay.
you know, there was one person texted me this morning. They said, "Good luck. Try not to make it a shit show."
No, but look, one last thing about that, guys. Look,
yeah.
this is democracy,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So you got rights to ask me questions, and I've got to answer all the questions that all the voters have.
Right.
Ones that agree with me, ones that disagree
Sure.
with me. So I don't think it's a shit show. As much as we have at times disagreed and done so passionately, and at times agreed, as to your point,
Yeah.
it's okay. This is what democracy looks like.
Right.
And you air it all out. I hope that you're fair, and I trust that you will be. You ask tough questions of all of the candidates.
I try to.
And then have the voters decide. That's how democracy works.
Okay. And the reason, just be fair, about climate change and a lot of that other stuff, the reason we haven't touched on that is because we know where you stand on it. You've made that very clear on your show, and as a
Right,
progressive
and
and as a
now
Bernie
some
supporter.
of the other candidates, though, are not at all clear, so I hope you ask for clarity on that.
I will. Just really quick, what gun violence, what would you want to talk about that real quick, and then we'll do some fun stuff?
So look, some issues affect here, but are national in scope. So you say, hey, we have tougher gun control in California, but it's so easy to cross the border from Arizona, Nevada, you name it, right? So we need federal background checks. It is the bare minimum. We still can't get that done. I think we can if you challenge McConnell in the ways that I explained earlier. Then red flag laws for sure. Semi-automatic weapons, I'm not in favor of that. So I should say assault weapons. So now a lot of the other candidates on the Democratic side will be afraid, oh my God, what people have guns here and I don't want to offend them. No. Assault weapons is, I've had not a lot of military guys, a lot of veteran guys on our show. They said those are weapons of war. You do not need them for hunting. You don't need them to protect yourself. It is totally unacceptable. So I would fight very aggressively for gun control, much more so than almost any Democrat would.
Okay. You were talking about Martin Luther King. I mean, why run for Congress then? Why not just be a big spokesman and use your PACs that you have? And stuff?
No, that's another fair question. So, Stephen, unfortunately, you cannot move the national conversation if you're in the media. So the people who can move the national conversation are people with power. So, and you can't fight for the people in Simi Valley or Santa Clarita or on all these issues, whether it's the water pollution and all the things that we've talked about, unless you're in Congress. So I wish it were different. I wish we could just do it on the show. That's a much more comfortable lifestyle where I'm not being personally attacked 24/7. But I thought, no, the only way to get it done is to actually go to Congress.
If Christy beats you in the primary, will you support her?
Well, I will support any Democrat over any Republican and encourage people to vote for Democrats over Republicans. That doesn't mean I have to like her. She's not been awfully kind to me so far, okay? But that's politics and that's life in the big city. But it does mean that any Democrat is definitely better than a
Will you
Republican.
vote for Biden over Trump?
Of course. It's not even close.
Okay.
So look, to me, Trump's a monster. It's unconscionable. In fact, I did this long video that was watched by a lot of people where I said before the election, you must vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, if you think you live in a blue state, you don't know. You're not a political expert. In fact, one of the states I named was Pennsylvania. I said, it is a lot closer than you realize. I've seen the polling. You haven't. You think you're going to be cute by voting for a third-party candidate or not voting? You're wrong. You got to go vote for Hillary Clinton because we cannot have this monster win.
Yeah.
So a Democrat like Christy, I have a million disagreements with her, as you can tell, but would be infinitely better than Steve Knight or Garcia or any of those clowns.
Friends of the show, by the way.
Okay, fine, but they're clowns.
I thought it was interesting when I usually, for our audience, I usually give the guests a chance to make some suggestions of things they want to talk about. And one of the things that you brought up was your Saturday morning cartoon lineup as a kid. Why is that?
So, look, it gives you a sense of how I got here, and that's why I brought it up. Like, so I get to America, I love the place, and then I'm like, I forget if it was 10, 12, right? But I got into this routine where I would have either strawberry or chocolate Nesquik, and I told my parents, look, I'm a good student, but I want Saturdays off. I'll work on Sundays, I'll work throughout the week, but I just want to watch TV on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I'd sit down and I'd watch, this is how old I am, Abbott and Costello. They were reruns.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd watch the Super Friends.
I did too.
Yeah. Wrestling.
Yeah.
And McLaughlin Report. Okay. So even as a little kid, I thought it was amazing that McLaughlin was going around going, Fred the Beetleborns, wrong! Okay. And so it turns out, I was a little crestfallen later to find out McLaughlin was a Republican.
Yeah.
But he did a good job of hiding it, and he had Eleanor Clift on, and he had progressives on, and I love when Jack Drummond would say, he'd say, okay, who's going to win, Republicans or Democrats? And Jack Drummond would be like, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Who was your favorite wrestler?
Oh, Don the Rock Morocco, the original Rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But I love Snuka. Rowdy Roddy Piper was a great heel.
Was great. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When he smashed Snuka with a coconut, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But, look, everybody was a Hulkamaniac back in the day.
Yeah. I'm a little bit older than you, so I actually have seen before WWF, like when Jerry the King Lawler was a wrestler down in the South, and Andy Kaufman, the whole
totally, yeah. Ric Flair.
Oh yeah.
When the Road Warriors came to the WWF, and that's what it was called back then, that was such a huge deal. As a little kid sitting there with my strawberry Nesquik, I was like, oh my God, if the Wild Samoas and the Road Warriors fight, it's going to be the greatest tag team matchup of all time.
Yeah. It mattered back then. It still does in a way. What's your favorite band?
So I'm not much of a music guy. So I really eclectic on my iTunes. I've got like half of it is like Bruce Springsteen and Johnny Cash and Ice Cube. And Snoop Dogg, and half of it is all kids' songs because my kids made me put it on, from like Moana and Aladdin, etc. And so it's completely eclectic. But if I had to name someone, I guess I'd say at this point Bruce. He's made a great late run, even though I'm from New Jersey. I've actually gotten into him more since the years have gone on. If you haven't heard his album where he talks about my hometown and how the bankers destroyed it, right, and how around here we take care of our own. It's an amazing
Wrecking
song.
Ball record.
Right,
Terrific
the Wrecking Ball.
Really
wonderful. American Land. Now I got my kids into it.
Yeah.
They love the song American Land.
Great song.
Yeah.
This is my question for my kid. Ryan, he is 8. He said,
why is your name so weird, and why don't you change it to something easier to spell?
Okay, so your kid's pretty smart. What's his name?
Ryan.
Yeah. So I once ran into Gene Simmons from Kiss in a green room. We were about to go on TV back to back.
Yeah.
And he said, what's your name? And I said, Cenk Uygur. He's like, oh my God, what have you done? Right? And he's like, no, man, it's not too late. Just change it right now. Jack Unger, whatever, just change it, right? Yeah. And he's like, Gene Simmons isn't my real name. He's like, I've got a long Jewish name. I'm not going to go with that. He's like, you know what KISS stands for? Keep it simple, stupid. And I didn't know that until he told me that, right?
Yeah.
And so if I cared about my media career and I cared about if I didn't know I was going to have a political career, but if I cared about that, I would have changed it a long time ago. I'm just weirdly authentic. It bothered me to change my name. I'm like, that's my real name.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard, and Ryan is right. Cenk, and the C's pronounced like a J?
Yeah.
That's impossible, right? Let alone Uygur.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't let go of my real name.
There has been an argument that Barack Obama might not have won if he had gone by Barry Obama as he did in college, because people remembered initially when he started campaigning in the primaries as the African American or the black guy with the funny name.
Yeah.
And it stood out because the name was so unique.
Look, I'm an immigrant with a funny name, so I got that I share with Obama. But let's also be honest, Barack is a cooler name.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
Yeah.
Giving your elevator pitch, 30 seconds, why should someone vote for you?
So as you can tell from this interview, I am going to fight for the voters. I'm not going to be a normal Democrat. I don't take corporate PAC money. I don't take lobbyist money. I'm going to fight for you on every issue: higher wages, ending the corruption, Medicare for all. We're going to get higher paying jobs by going to renewable energies. So if you want a progressive Democrat who's going to fight for you with his last breath, I'm that guy. So Cenk2020.com.
All right, and I always ask everybody to give me your best evil villain laugh.
Okay, oh boy. Christy, get ready to do this out of context.
She's done it too, by the way.
Okay, so I've never done this before, and I'm not much at scripting
like Saturday morning
things,
cartoons,
so,
man.
All right, but we'll try it. Okay. Whoa!
That's good.
Not
That's
bad?
good. Yeah,
Not
that's
bad?
pretty
Okay.
good. That's pretty good. Got a joke for us?
Oh, I know. I was supposed to prepare this. Oh, I didn't. I love dad jokes. Oh, God. Nah, I don't have it. That's embarrassing. Sorry.
Nothing? Okay,
Next time I come on.
You're going to come back on then?
Yeah, I'll come back
If you come back
on.
on, I want you're going to have a joke for me, or you're going to have to rap. One of the two.
Oh, I'll do a joke, please.
Okay.
I'll do a joke. I'll ask my son's 9 years old. My daughter's 7. My son loves jokes, so I'll
hit
ask
him
him
up
for
on that.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It provided that this goes to the general, and you are one of the candidates. Will you come on for a debate?
Oh, 100%. I'll come on for any debate in the primary or general election. I'll come on tomorrow. I'll come on the day after. I can't wait to debate.
All right, great. And I think, do you have any tattoos?
No. So I'm just too old school.
Too old school? If you
Yeah.
were going to get one, what would it be?
I got to be honest. I'd get a little TYT logo on my tricep.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. I think we covered most of everything. I could talk to you for another 30, 40 minutes, but I know you've got to go over to Hanukkah Coffee and things. So I do appreciate you coming in and doing this out in the rain because, you're from the East Coast. Out here in California, they treat like an inch of rain like 6 inches of snow. So
I know.
Yeah.
I don't even carry an umbrella around because it's LA.
Yeah.
And so I picked the wrong day not to bring an umbrella, but it's all good. It's no problem at all.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
No, I do appreciate you doing it, and I wish you luck in the election, and we hope you guys enjoyed the talk.
You've been listening to The Talk of Santa Clarita. Listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud.com, YouTube, and Stitcher. Barring a life event getting in the way, a new podcast is available every Tuesday. Questions, comments, and show ideas can be sent to thetalkofsantaclarita@gmail.com. You can also call or text us at 661-505-8672. That's 661-505-8672. Follow us on Twitter at The Talk of SC or on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Talk of Santa Clarita. You can also visit our website by going to www.thetalkofsantaclarita.com. This has been a production of Radio Free Santa Clarita Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To donate, go to radiofreesantaclarita.org/donate. Radio Free Santa Clarita, on the net and on the air, and we're very much aware.
Any questions?